Well, we're joined now by Colonel Hassan Stanlabo, who is a retired Army officer, to give some perspective on where we are at the moment on this fight against insurgency. Thank you for coming on this morning.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, how do we assess this? Because if the intention is to ensure that we stop lives from being lost owing to this kinds of attacks here and there, how would you assess what we've done so far and where we are today?
I would say our performance so far is commendable, though we still have room for improvement. Okay? It's not as if it's Uhuru yet. All these pockets of actions we see here and there are things we anticipate. But as we drive on, you see that eventually all this will die off.
How?
Frankly speaking, yes. Look, as a professional, you look at the amount of heat we were receiving from the insurgents at the beginning of the whole thing. And what is the response today? 2, how much of confidence have we been able to foster in our men by virtue of the equipment that have now moved forward, by virtue of all the
You're saying
logistics?
They bought more equipment?
We have been able to beef up the level of equipment in the forward lines. And it is fostering some level of confidence in our men. And also with the change of hands in the leadership that we have.
Are you saying that you're aware that we have bought, or you have information that we've got more equipment to prosecute this war?
Look, equipment have moved forward. Without the equipment that we have received, I don't think we can, or we could have been able to attain the successes we've been able to attain so far. I don't want to be dragged into what you want to drag me into.
Which
but
is,
you just get me.
I don't know what
yeah, right.
I'm just asking basic questions.
No, because Chamberlain's question is
Yes.
key here, knowing full well that we had 2 issues. The crux of the matter about that war rest on 2 key issues about confidence for the troop as well as lack of equipment.
Yes.
And lack of equipment, they say, resulted in some of the troops members losing confidence.
Yes.
So he's asking, is it that you are in the know that
some level of re-equipping has been done, okay? And it is bringing about a great deal of confidence within the men. And that's what is partly responsible for the bulk of the successes we are recording. Then, the change in leadership too. We have quite a committed leadership now that is not distracted.
excuse me, you don't think that we should actually be clear on this? I mean,
Yes.
I think it's a very valid question in terms of
Yes, right.
asking when we were able to get this equipment. I do know that on Friday while I was going on my way home, I did see some equipment, some heavy tanks looks like they were going to the northeast. They were painted in the colors that you would usually see vehicles in the northeast, being painted in. But we need to get certain things clear, because right now we do know that there's an ongoing investigation as to whether or not, equipment were bought for, the military personnel. Did they buy it, or did they just order them? Did they just arrive? Did we get aid? Where exactly did we get equipment from?
Where you are going to. If you need such detailed information, get the Army spokesman, bring him here. I'm talking as a distant observer.
Okay.
Okay? And I can assure you that some level of equipment have moved forward. But if you want all the sort of details you want, get the relevant people.
Well, we always get across to them, but no response as of yet, because those who we spoke to on the front lines tell us, look, we're still prosecuting this thing with the same one we had previously. So until they come in and tell us otherwise, the authorities, we can only assume that what we heard from the front lines is what we're running with. I mean,
are you sure you've gone through the right channels in trying to reach out to these guys?
We have their details, Constable. Well, speaking a little further about this one, because the recent one in Adamawa State, where they wrote to the community, and this is a pattern we've seen with Boko Haram. They always write you, in some cases 3 days ahead from what we've found out now, that we will strike. And they strike when they write.
Now, I just want to ask this, because the Army is doing so much in terms of CIMIC now, relating with the communities. When such information came forth, did they pass it on to the military authorities that look at the information we have received?
This is not the first, second, or third. So what we're saying then is, if that didn't happen, this one, but then it's all over the place. So one would have imagined that, look, the military is on ground. They moved the command and control center there. So they should have all of this. Come on, we have a fantastic
I want
DMI,
us to be
don't
very
we?
fair to the military. Look, gentlemen, and I'm going to be fair to you too, because I can understand you are not a professional soldier, so at times you might not really know the way wars are fought and how things going out there. You cannot pin a soldier to every inch of land around you. The community must be ready to be of help, giving enough information which eventually gets crystallized into intelligence. Okay? Every bit of information you receive within the community, pass it on. It means so much to the military in planning their next campaigns and so on. And it helps them in saying that they are able to move in a rescue mission quite on time.
And then you have the other part of the question.
Yes, please.
Much as you say the military cannot pin themselves in every location, why is it that it doesn't come across as though we see the police being involved in this one, playing a big role too?
Are you aware that right now, as we speak, the police is moving in and that the army or the military is already handing over certain territories to the police to take over and re-establish
We're aware
civil
of that.
authorities?
We're aware of, because that news also broke over the weekend. The question is, this definitely raises questions about the capabilities of the police, because if we say that we're already, moving in, civil authorities about to take over in these communities that have been, reclaimed back from Boko Haram,
yes,
and then on that same weekend we get that 5 villages were raided by Boko Haram, it does raise questions as to whether or not we have the capabilities, we've equipped our police well enough for them to be able to take care of these villagers. I mean, if a DPO too, from what we understand, was also killed in that particular attack, shouldn't we begin to ask questions?
Yes, of course, you are correct. We should be asking questions. I want to believe that the police that is moving in will be well equipped to take care of the situation on ground. As we speak right now, those 5 villages that were attacked, I hope you are aware that the police have moved into those areas. I don't know if you are aware of that, but that's the latest information now. They've moved in, the military already had moved in, and they are making arrangements to bring in the police, okay, to take over the entire place. But like I said, let's expect this spread to take a gradual process in moving around, so that eventually the military must make sure they complete their mop-up operations effectively before introducing the police to all these areas.
You've talked about the role of information and how, the military thrives on information. I think that will be around the line of intelligence. I have always asked the question as to, what is the line of information? How does information even get to them? Because or as a citizen now, I have information to give to the military, I don't even know who to route it through. So I wonder if the civil populace, because you asked that question as to what did they do with the information? I mean, if Boko Haram wrote to them, the question will be, were they aware of channels through which they could have routed that information to the military?
I expect such channels to have been established. I expect intelligence personnel in plain clothes must have penetrated these communities. Leadership of the communities know some of them. And so information flows in that direction.
Is that the only source? I mean, you've talked about intelligence. We should think that by now, there should be some lines that, citizens can call and say, we have this information. Maybe a specific line to every community.
But I thought they've been putting these lines on. My grouse with most of those lines is that, look, you don't start bringing some 6, 7 digits. Just give them something like 112.
More or less like.
Which is easy to cram. If you ask me here, which are those lines? I know there are lines, but I cannot cram 6 digits. And how many do I want to cram when I don't even know my wife's personal number at times offhand? At times even your own car number, at times you don't know it. I know what I'm saying.
That's a serious one.
Oh yes, it's a serious one, but I'm only being frank on air.